Breaking news! Something unexpected is happening within the Ravens organization, a potential decision that could split fans in two. It's bold, it's risky, and it involves a name every Ravens fan knows. A move that could either propel a playoff run or remind us why sometimes it's better to leave the past behind. But here's the crucial point. The timing couldn't be more perfect. And that's exactly why every conversation about the Ravens needs to be relevant. But before we dive into this twist that's causing a stir among fans, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting the team. And if you want, leave a comment below, bring him back or let him go, because what we're about to analyze could divide the fan base. Earlier today, news broke that the Miami Dolphins are releasing former Ravens edge rusher Matt Judon. That's right, the same Matt Judon who once terrorized quarterbacks in purple and black could be back on the market. And while his current production in Miami has been underwhelming, the question every Ravens fan is now asking is simple. Should we bring him home? Let's not sugarcoat it. Baltimore's pass rush has been a glaring weakness this season. Ranked near the bottom of the league in sacks, the Ravens have simply not found consistent pressure. Sure, there have been flashes, but consistency has been missing all year. And while names like Kyle Van Noy and Tavius Robinson have stepped up, this unit is crying out for veteran reinforcement. Enter Matt Judon. No, he hasn't looked like the same Pro Bowl caliber player he once was. But this isn't about bringing back 2019 Judon. It's about plugging a hole in a pass rush unit that, frankly, has lacked identity. And more importantly, it's about low risk, high potential reward. Let's talk logistics. If the Ravens were to make a move, they wouldn't be betting the bank. Judon has less than $500,000 remaining on his contract. That's change in the NFL. If claimed off waivers, it's a small financial hit. If signed to the practice squad, even cheaper. And that's where this gets interesting. You lose nothing by taking a swing. So what's the worst that could happen? He joins the team, gets a couple of elevation call-ups, and doesn't make an impact? Fine, you're exactly where you started. But what if he brings back even a hint of the fire he once showed in Baltimore? What if he's just good enough to command attention from an opposing offensive line and free up someone else like Van Noy or Clowney? Then suddenly, a struggling pass rush starts to look a lot more dangerous. And for the skeptics wondering about whose spot he might take, it's not like he'd be cutting into heavy rotation guys. Nobody's taking Tavius Robinson snaps. Nobody's benching Van Noy. But names like David Ohabo, who, let's face it, has not lived up to expectations this year, haven't exactly locked down their role. Adding Judon to that mix doesn't hurt. In fact, it creates competition, and the Ravens need that. Even more compelling is the familiarity. Judon knows Baltimore's system. He understands the culture, and he's been through the grind here before. That matters. Unlike someone like Carl Lawson who would need time to adjust, Judon can step in and understand expectations from day one. That plug-and-play readiness is crucial, especially with only a few weeks left in the season. Then there's the emotional factor. Fans still remember Judon in purple. The celebrations, the attitude, the presence. Bringing him back would ignite this fan base in a way few moves could. It's not just nostalgia, it's a rallying point. In a season filled with ups and downs, giving this team and this city a familiar face could be the emotional spark the locker room needs. But let's not pretend it's all roses. There's a reason the Dolphins are moving on. Judon hasn't been productive this season. There's always the risk he's lost a step, or that injuries have finally caught up to him. And let's be clear, this move wouldn't be about saving the Ravens' defense. It would be a supporting piece, not a centerpiece. Still, as one fan put it in a recent comment, what's the worst that could happen? That sentiment is echoing all across the flock. And when you consider the upside, the experience, the fit, and the potential cost, it's hard to argue against the move. And speaking of returning pieces, let's not overlook other positive developments. Safety Alohi Gilman just had the game of his Ravens career, earning AFC Defensive Player of the Week honors with 8 tackles, a pass deflection, and a massive 64-yard touchdown return. His play is catching fire at the right time. Meanwhile, rookie linebacker Jay Higgins has returned to practice, stepping into a larger role following Teddy Buchanan's season-ending injury. And even Rashad Bateman is back on the field, though fans are rightly concerned it could limit the field-stretching potential of Tez Walker, someone many believe deserves more snaps given his explosive upside. But the injury bug hasn't gone away. Lamar Jackson missed practice with the flu. Roquan Smith and Ronnie Stanley were also out, though both are expected to return. Chidobe Awuzi's status remains uncertain, and that's one injury the Ravens can't afford to overlook, especially with a defense that already needs every edge it can find. Let's pick up right where we left off, because while the return of Matt Judon might sound like a nothing-to-lose type of move, it actually speaks volumes about where this Ravens team is right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Baltimore's front office knows they're in win-now mode. Not next year, not building for the future. Right now. That's why Judon's name even being mentioned matters. You're talking about a team that has weathered major injuries, suffered disappointing performances from once promising talents like David Ohabo, and now finds itself clawing for a postseason berth in a crowded AFC. This isn't about fairy tales. This is about desperation and calculated aggression. Judon doesn't need to be a game wrecker. He just needs to be a problem. Someone offensive coordinators have to think about. Someone that opens lanes for Justin Matabike, Kyle Van Noy, or even young players like Trenton Simpson. He can provide rotational depth, leadership, and maybe a spark in critical third down situations. And if he doesn't, you move on. No harm done. But here's where it gets deeper. Juden's situation is just one layer of a bigger question looming over this team. Who's really pulling the strings, and how long can they hold it all together? Let's talk Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. Because while everyone is focused on Juden's return or Alohi Gilman's rise, there's a quiet but undeniable tension between quarterback and coach. It's subtle, almost professional, but it's there. Fans have noticed the lack of moments between the two. The hugs, the handshakes, the sideline smiles, gone. Replaced by distance, both physically and in media narratives. Lamar has made several remarks, subtle jabs in interviews, about resting, about decisions being out of his hands. Is it frustration with coaching? With how injuries are handled? With how the offense is being run? We don't know, but it's real. This isn't about drama. It's about results. Because if Lamar and Harbaugh aren't aligned, and if this team falls short again this season, the consequences could be massive. One fan posed a powerful question. How many more swings will Harbaugh get with Lamar Jackson? If this team doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, not just make the playoffs, not just win a round, but win it all, does Harbaugh deserve to stay? You look around the league and realize how fast windows close. 2 years ago, Matt Judon was a Pro Bowler. Today, he's a free agent. The Ravens' own playoff hopes, once riding high, have been reduced to week-by-week survival. That's how quickly everything can change. And speaking of change, let's circle back to Judon one more time, because the fan reactions say it all. Bring him home, one message read. What's the worst that could happen? That sentiment is echoing louder and louder. And it's not just because of what Judon can do on the field. It's about the message it sends. Signing Judon now would say, we are doing everything possible to win. We're not folding. We're not waiting for next year. We're building this roster with urgency, with intent, and with purpose. Because this roster should be good enough. You've got Lamar Jackson, a top-tier quarterback, no matter what national narratives try to say. You've got playmakers in Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, and, if healthy, Rashad Bateman. You've got a defense that, when it clicks, is capable of suffocating opponents. But what's missing is pressure, disruption, that one guy who can change the equation off the edge. Judon might not be that guy anymore. Or maybe he still has just enough left to matter. Either way, the Ravens owe it to themselves and to this fan base to find out. And speaking of fan bases, let's give credit where it's due. Ravens fans aren't just hoping for a strong finish, they're demanding one. The questions they're asking, the expectations they're setting, they reflect a city that knows what it wants. A team that has been through too much, seen too many setbacks, to accept anything less than greatness. Because when you've got Lamar Jackson in his prime and a defense with this much potential, anything less than a deep playoff run is a failure. Period. So the question now is simple. Will the front office act? Will they bring back a veteran like Judon to patch the cracks? Or will they stay passive and hope that what they've got is good enough? And even bigger, if the Ravens don't make that run, if they stumble in the postseason again, how many more chances does this core group have together? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you bring back Matt Judon? Do you think he could make an impact? And more importantly, what would it say about the direction of this team if they don't even try? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more Ravens content, and check out the next video right here on the screen. We're going deep into everything Ravens, every step of the way.